right, are we ready?
Okay. Do you need a mic check or anything?
I think I'm all set.
You don't need one?
Perfect. All right, Ivan.
Yes, sir.
Ivan, where'd you grow up? Where are you from originally?
The foothills of the San Gabriel Valley, like Pasadena area.
And tell me about your family growing up. You had both mom and dad?
A nuclear family, I guess. Yeah, there's my pops. Stanarchy, I call him. His name's Stan, I call him Stanarchy. And my mom, I didn't get along with her, but I'm a very logical creature. I don't have as good of intuition or instinct. I operate more on reason and logic, and she's completely that way, so we just clashed. But
You were closer to your dad?
Yeah, way closer. My mom and I were just. My uncle told me, I wasn't mom's boy or dad's boy. I was grandma's boy, if anything. My grandma's kind of raised me again after I went out into the world and came back. But at her 100th birthday party, my uncle told me a weird story. He said, I saw the day that you got smarter than your mom. I don't know what that means, but he said, I figured out because she'd say no and I'd argue, and then one day I just said why, and that day he said I had her. I always got her upset. But that's why I always got, because I said so wasn't a good enough reason for anything.
How would you describe your childhood?
It was good. We lived in a pretty safe, mostly white suburb, but it was like middle class. We were lower middle class. Like my pops, I guess, got a deal and a mortgage, and we had a house, so it looked nice, 2 floors and everything, but we didn't have any money. Ate out of cans when we did and all that, pretty poor.
And your parents stayed together?
No. When I was like 10, they went apart. I stayed with my pops, and he went to school, and so we were latchkey kids. Had to get home from school, nobody's there.
Right. Your dad was working?
Yeah.
And how far did you go to school?
How far did I go?
Yeah.
I got to high school, but halfway through 10th grade, I hated it. But my pop said, I have to go. This is California. He said, you have to go, or if you drop out of school, you either have to get the proficiency in California. I don't know if you're familiar, but there's a proficiency exam. It's like a state GED. I hear it's easier. So you either get that or get, if you want to live with me. So I did. So I had to stay in school, but I didn't do anything or pay attention. But until the results got back, and it was just pass or fail. So I don't know how I did, but it's a long test you go take in Covina for all day, and then they tell you if you pass or fail, and then you can get out of school.
So after school, you did what?
Music. I played music. I've been in bands, and I haven't made a full living. I'm not a rock star, but I have released independent, I've released albums. I've toured all over the country. I've toured with people like Jeton Damone, underground, legends. Jeton Damone from Christian Death. I used to tour with her, and I was in a band called Tongue that has a couple of records. I was in a band called 13 Knots, death rock, punk rock, all not commercial stuff.
Yeah, music has been your life?
Yeah.
Pretty much the whole ride, right?
Yeah. I started playing when I was 11 or 12 or something. And that's all I paid attention to. That, a little bit of art, but I didn't work as hard at that as music.
What does music do for you?
What does it do for me?
Does it stabilize you? Does it keep you on track? Does it?
Yeah, it does. Not everything, but almost everything for me. You're talking about emotionally or psychologically or something like that, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It sustains me. Art. Aristotle. I used to read a lot too. But Aristotle's there's a life unexamined is not worth living. Well, examining mine, a life without some kind of art or something wouldn't be worth it to me. I haven't made a living off it. I haven't been able to buy a house or anything like that. But I'm definitely a professional musician. I've been paid, but it's got to express myself, I guess. You know.
Well, creativity is a very.
I'm driven to, you know. Maybe I'm definitely was OCD when I was a kid. You know.
Any form of creativity, I think, is very stabilizing.
Yeah, it gives you something to focus on. I mean, man, my life's almost aimless like it is, but it would be, I guess, completely aimless without, you know, music and playing guitar. It's mainly what I do. I can play drums and bass and stuff, but I've told I'm capable of above that, you know.
And you've had relationships? You've been married?
Well, for a second, when I was a teenager, or 19 or 20 or something, a girl came at me with logic and reason, and convinced me. Long story, she was like, "Oh, could you be with one person for the rest of your life?" I go, "You know, I don't know. You know, variety. I can't say one way or the other because variety. I'm a big believer. Variety is the spice of life." And she's like, "Well, what if that person, you know, changed? You know, they could look and act different, whatever." You know, she just used logic, and with logic, I couldn't refute it. But I thought, when I was a teenager, what the hell? I'm immortal, or, you know, invincible. I'll get into it. I can get out of it. I get out of everything else. I used to do ridiculous stuff socially when I was a kid, and I survived. I lived through everything. But so that for just a couple of years, you know. But
And no kids?
just experiment. What's up?
No kids?
No.
What's been your favorite memory from your life? How old are you?
Age is just a number.
what's been
How
your
many
favorite?
times you've been around your local star?
Right.
What's circumnavigated it.
What's been your favorite memory of your life?
Oh, man.
Or favorite time of your life?
Well, I'll try to give you something, but my grandma, as I said, I would be more of a grandma's boy than mom's or dad's. My grams was a writer, and she's from New England, and she was killer, and we just got along, we dug each other. I lived with her for a lot of years, and I took care of her till she, in the last 5 years of her life, she, you know, couldn't walk and stuff. But she, once when I asked her what her favorite something was, she said, "Why should I pick a favorite? I can have them all. You know, like a favorite color, I can have them all." So, you know, she didn't pick, there's not really a point necessarily in a favorite, but some of my favorite, I don't know. I don't think in terms of my life coming to a head that way, but I did enjoy a lot of the tours that we did, certain gigs. We played with TSOL once, and my amp went out, and Ron Emery, who's the guitar player, I went to their bus and knocked and asked if he had any tools I could use, and he goes, "What's the matter?" And I said, "My amp's broken, and we were about to open for TSOL, huge band, if you know, punk rock band," and he goes, "Stay there." He came with a toolbox, didn't hand it to me. He said, "Let's go." He went with me. He fixed my amp so we could open for him that night. And then dedicated a song to me. He was like, "The song's for Ivan." Because I asked him if they were going to play it. Silent Scream, it's a cool song, but he dedicated it to me. That was killer. That was a cool memory. You know, Dez Cadena from Black Flag was on our record. That was a cool thing. I mean, I don't want to drop names. It's
Right.
not. It's kind of tacky, but I'm just saying, meeting people that I grew up listening to, or the reason that I play was, you know, and being friends with them is a really cool thing.
Yeah.
And there's more than that, you know. But I'd be name dropping if I said who.
What personality traits do you have that help you survive, help you get by in life?
Well, I don't tell people this usually. This is a kind of a secret thing, but. Let's see, I'm not baptized in anything, and I've read all about all the religions, Eastern, Western. You know, what makes sense the most to me is more of philosophy. It's the Tao Te Ching, you know, Lao Tzu. That makes more sense to me, yin and yang, and but my philosophy, my personal philosophy, is believe it or not, I have some weird things you'll hear in this, but Bugs Bunny. Bugs Bunny is my icon because right, everyone knows Bugs Bunny, right? Well, think about it. when Bugs Bunny, when the hunter's going after him, or Yosemite Sam or whatever, and they shoot him, and he's like worried about it, and when he gets scared or reacts and overreacts to it, he gets fucked up. He loses when he worries about it and all that shit, or the monster, the witch, whatever. But when he stops caring, and he starts dressing in drag and kissing them and running, when he doesn't care. See, Bugs Bunny doesn't give a fuck. When he gives a fuck, he loses. But when he doesn't give a fuck, and like I said, kisses him, gets in drag, does all that shit, he wins. And that's what personality trait. I mean, I do care about things, of course, but
yeah, it's almost a
rolling with the punches, you gotta laugh at everything and do the equivalent of putting on drag and kissing and making, let them be fools and try not to be one.
Yeah, it's a philosophy.
Don't take it so hard. It's not a dick, and no one gets out alive at the end. But stuff like that, I guess, because it wouldn't help to. Oh man, a lot of fucked up shit's happened to me. Like being a musician, when my guitars got ripped off. Man, that was fucked up. But yeah.
What are your personality traits that are the most destructive for you?
I'm way so much more of a thinker than a doer. And the emphasis to do things, I don't hardly, like I said, I'll think and I spend a whole day drawing or writing and thinking and doing stuff in my head, not really solving problems, but figuring things out for myself, but I won't do anything, I won't go get food or, drugs when I do them, or, or even eat if it was there sometimes. I don't know, I just,
Do you mind if I ask you to take off the glasses?
No.
Thanks.
I was gonna anyway, I forgot they were on.
Are drugs a part of your life?
Yeah, they are. Not like they used to be. I was gonna tell you, I don't know how much longer you want this to go, but...
We can go half an hour.
Okay, cool. Drugs are a weird thing. I have some philosophies about that too. I philosophize a lot, like I said, and I don't go out and make money. I'm not a hustler or go-getter like of that. I'm definitely an anomaly, People tell me, like, not one of my friends doesn't say that I'm unlike anyone else, but it's not always a good thing. I guess I'm unique, but it's not preferable to them. Why is this is supposed to be all candid? I don't know. I'm embarrassing myself probably. Anyway, people I know it already. But drugs, it was heroin. It was the main drug. When I was 15 years old, I right around that's the time I lost my virginity too. Right after I turned 15, and right that time I'd never done any drugs except some weed, and I hate, and I don't like it. It just doesn't makes you complacent, and as much as I think, but I think I protest in my head. I know things, it makes you complacent, and it makes me not, like, laugh at shit that I know is not funny, and then I get angry. It's just, weed doesn't agree with me, so I knew it wasn't that. I don't count that. And but I dropped acid. That was the one thing the first time I did drugs, and I decided for myself. So I would either never do any drugs my whole life, or if I was going to bother, it was all that egg in the frying pan, like, this is your brain, this is drugs, this is your brain on drugs, any questions? I always, on that commercial, I immediately went, yeah, right here. If I don't like my eggs raw, why should my brains be? But when I was a kid, I was saying that. But what was I saying? Oh, that I would either do that, or I'd go forget gateways and all that shit. I'd go do the most taboo thing in the most taboo way. So it's like before my teens were out, I shot heroin. So I just went straight to that. I never did coke or, I never snorted anything, I never smoked anything, nothing like that. Did one tab of acid, and then I shot heroin. And I've tried everything since then. But getting old. But heroin addiction is a weird thing because it is the most taboo. You know, it's the opiates, and even more than the pills. You know, on the street, and even though it's a trade name, which is funny, but it's like every day, just when you survive and go through the day, it's like you're a superhero. You do heroic things to get this drug that nobody wants you to have, and everyone can get busted, and the liaisons are all shady, and you get hurt. And I've gotten fucked up and stabbed in my liver, you know, like a knife in my lip right there, and stitches, and stuff like that. But you're not a hero to anyone, but you. But the stuff that you do, it's like a cat running through a glass house of dogs and hammers coming down or something. Like the way that it's a weird thing that you're a hero. And you're also injecting, it's like you're a vampire. You know, you don't like daylight, and you got blood involved, but it's your own, and you're taking it out and putting it in. And you get pale and thin, and it's a whole weird existence. But I quit shooting up a year ago. I don't do that anymore, but like I said, I went for the most taboo thing, the most taboo way. It's I don't do that anymore. I had terrible, you know, a lot of things come with that. I had, you get hepatitis, you get abscesses, you get all kinds of messed up stuff. I guess other people, I know one or two of the people, I don't know if that's taboo, you know, you're not supposed to say, but one of the people that did your thing, and I know they've had terrible trouble with their health from that stuff. But it inadvertently made me an amputee.
Oh, wow. Tell me about that.
I lost my thumb. Well, it was a weird thing, like I said, a unique thing, but it made sense to me. It happened to be in 2016. At the end, almost. So at the beginning of 2017 is when I got amputated. But what happened was, I had a brand new needles from the, you know, they were brand new from exchange and everything. They weren't used at all, so it wasn't dirty, it wasn't anything like that. But I was somehow holding it like this or something like that, like to my knees or something. I reached for some water and I went to get it like that, and bam! Punctured my thumb like all the way to the bone, went straight out. You couldn't even see it. I had to wait for one like dot of blood, but it went deep and it fucking hurt. And it was just a dot, and I was like, fuck. So I dumped peroxide on it and everything like that, put a Band-Aid, all that I was supposed to do. And it still got infected and blew up. But I was in a crisis that year, you know that song, Bye Bye American Pie, that old song? I guess that's supposed to be about when like Richie Valens and Buddy Holly and the Chantilly Lace guy, that DJ from Texas, died in a plane crash. And it's supposed to be the day the music died, like the worst. That's supposed to be the most tragic. And I say, maybe whatever. I don't like the music that everyone likes either. I always thought the funny joke was, what would it take to reunite the Beatles? 3 more bullets before the other guy died. But the point being that in 2016, when it happened, January 10th, 2 days after his birthday, and he drops Black Star, David Bowie dies. All right? Suddenly, at the end of the year, I think November, something like that, Prince dies. What the fuck? In an elevator, you know, with pills. Didn't know that he was into anything. Fucked up his hips doing all that splits and shit all those years. And then also, less known, but Pete Burns from Dead or Alive, you know, you spin me right round, baby, right round. That guy, he was cool. Music, he died too. And I just thought to myself, wow, that really pales as the worst, you know, my friend called it the worst rock and roll year ever. I don't usually use that term, but I honestly thought, not that I'm in their caliber, but I aspire to be, you know, we stand on the shoulders of giants type thing. And I thought a year that David Bowie and Prince, you know, nor Prince nor Pete Burns could survive, I didn't see how anyone was gonna, I couldn't see how I was gonna survive that year. So I was just waiting to die somehow because I didn't see how I would survive a year that they didn't. And then a weird thing, I'm not a superstitious guy, but it made sense when that happened. My thumb, and it started getting infected, and like I said, on a brand new sterile needle. It went straight in, straight out. And it started getting infected. And I didn't go to the hospital right away. I got some antibiotics from my friends, and it started to get better. And then, but I ran out of them, and it started to get worse again. And I thought, okay, this is how I'm gonna die. But then it didn't seem bad enough to kill me, infection. And so something inside me, like, it's weird, I know, but I thought it's like a sacrifice to whatever the sonic gods are. That's what they wanted. They wanted a sacrifice. And I mean, it's my right thumb, and I'm right-handed. I play guitar. It affects it. It affects it. I drop picks all the time now. I don't know if I could get some prosthetic like the Black Sabbath guy or special-made picks, but I can't pick with the, Circle A Furiosity that I used to. I still can play a bit. I tried playing with my fingers like Jeff Beck. I don't know, a lot of stuff, but it's gotten harder. But it affected it. I can see how that it totally turned out to be. But that's what made sense to me. That I think, suspending disbelief, I might have survived that year only because I made a sacrifice to the sonic gods. But that's how I lost my thumb because not from shooting up, but because I did. I wouldn't have been fucking around with a syringe if I didn't. I suppose.
Was that a setback emotionally for you?
Emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, just as a musician, I can see it. Your ability to create and perform.
Like, give me an example of how. I don't.
I mean, like,
think in
if
those
you're a
terms.
guitar player and you lose part of your thumb, then your ability to play at your best is going to be.
Yeah, it fucks with me,
And
and I stress out about it. But how would it affect me
just
emotionally?
you get depressed because you're just not as good as you want to be.
No, I don't think I take things emotionally unless I start with them emotionally. Like if I was with somebody, if I love somebody, and then I get my heart broken, I'm living with that emotion. That's an emotional experience, so that affects me emotionally. But I had never been emotionally attached to my thumb, so I don't think I got emotional about it. But yeah, it definitely, affects me. It's fucked up. I don't know how to get. I've little things that to compensate or whatever, but I still drop picks all the fucking time. I can't anchor it like I used to because my thumb's missing. So they call me 9 now. My initials are IX anyway, the Roman numeral for it. So, but yeah.
You're a nonconformist?
Am I what? A nonconformist?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. It's not a good policy to judge a book by its cover, but what would you say by looking at me?
I would guess yes.
Yeah, I guess so. It's
I am too, but I look different than you do.
Right. But I mean, I don't know how on purpose that is. Like, I don't. All right, yeah, I do refuse to cooperate with certain mores of society, like things. Oh, cool, thanks. I do, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't understand people. I've always thought, people say, like you said, have you ever heard, hey, you look like, when I was a kid, it was funny because my brother looked just like Alice Cooper. He had long brown hair and brown eyes and shit, and I supposedly look like, fuck up with eyes, and I guess I resemble Bowie, but, so I got my whole life. Although a guy, one time on a bus, he's like, do you know who you look exactly like? I was like, yeah, Bowie, right? And he's like, no, he said, Jay Ashton from Gene Loves Jezebel. I'd never heard that one, that was a trip. But I had red hair at the time. But I don't understand people's motivations. I don't understand what they want and why they want it, and what they think, and what's so important to them. I don't. I'm like a gypsy, like Django Reinhardt or something. I don't want a yacht or a house, or like that stuff wouldn't appeal to me. It sounds like a bunch of responsibility. That what do I want it for? Unless I had so much money that I had people to take care of all that shit, because I wouldn't. I want a place to live, which I don't really have. I have a homeless, but equipment and a place to keep it is like what I want. If I have a family, a couple, whatever, I had kids, I guess I'd have to have a place to keep them. But I don't understand, that. But so, And I don't conform. I don't, think with stuff I disagree with. But I certainly don't consciously decide to be a nonconformist.
No, I think people either are or are not.
Yeah, well, yeah. I just don't. But it's well, like I think a lot of standards I live by. It's weird, but think about it. What's the last thing? What's the last thing that the coolest guy in any room would say? What's the last fucking thing that they'd say? The last thing he would say is that he's cool, because if he had to tell you, he wouldn't be. So, someone who's like, I'm a nonconformist, and they wear a T-shirt. I don't know. Maybe they're trying too hard or something. It just would seem weird to me. But I don't look for that label or anything. But yeah, I suppose I am, because I certainly don't do things by the other people's book or anything like that. But yeah.
But what do you worry about? What are you afraid of?
Afraid? I don't think I'm afraid of anything, really. If I was afraid of anything, it's funny that people. What I worry about. Let's go with that first. I worry about surviving, because for a while, a little bit here, I've been surviving rather than living, and living is, can be a good time, but surviving is not optimal, but trying to get shit done, and I feel like it's hard to get, leg up, trying to do that, and then this coronavirus shit, it was cool at the beginning. It got everything out of the way and made it easier for people, like for me, I was staying in a studio. It was a stronghold, it didn't come in and get out. No corona got in there for a long time. But now on the back end, it's like they're trying to get you tested, and that shit's no good for you, and can't travel, publicly, and you know what I mean? And where to work, the whole world is changing, Business isn't what it was, the economy is not what it was, people. I gotta figure out I gotta get a hustle, something online or something like that, or that's, the future. But what I'm scared of, it's funny, because about the only thing I'm scared of, people are scared, like, I don't know, are you religious? Were you raised religious? Yeah, not baptized, like I said, me either. But kind of scared, like people are scared if there's not a heaven, because they're, they're worried about that, or going. What I'm kind of, what scares me is if there is. If there's a God, especially the Christian one, it sounds like you have to participate. You have to, like, not sin in order to go to heaven, or if you don't, you will go to whatever hell is. And I've read the Bible. It's not what people walk around saying it is. Like the devil's going to torture you and shit. He gets thrown into the pit too. He gets fucked up too. But the thing that scares me is if all that duality, if that shit was true, and you can't opt out, you can't decide not to participate. Like God's going to make me go to hell or heaven, and if if I was gonna die, and I have to go to one, I can't just be over. Like, people say they want to live forever. Well, that would be a drag. I mean, you've seen it illustrated in like vampire culture, where dudes have lived for thousands of years, the same thing over and over, and people that they love live and die, and they keep going on and on and on. I mean, that shit would get old. Besides the fact that if you did live forever, nothing's going to keep you young. You're going to deteriorate. And at some point, my grandma, I like to tell people, it's funny, I say my grandma died suddenly out of nowhere. She I loved her a lot, and she suddenly died surprised at 100. She surprised us all. It came out of nowhere. And people go, oh no, I'm like, 100. It came out of nowhere. They're not getting the sarcasm. She had a good life. What did she have left to do? She did what she was going to do. How much, stray cats, how long you want to live anyway? And it's like, I mean, I want to do shit, and I want to accomplish stuff, but getting old seems like more of a drag than dying at a certain point. Like a certain, there's the hot dog bun, ratio that how old you're going to get compared to how long you're going to live. I think that living is going to outweigh. It's going to be death's not a burden; it's a release. So, but if I had to play along, it's like, I wasn't trying to go to heaven or trying to play those games. So if anything scared me, that's about the only thing. Like, not afraid to die. It's just like, what if I show up and there is a God and he's like, you didn't play my game and entertain me or whatever he made. That's what I always thought. Why are there different colored people? It's different pieces. It's a complicated game and only he knows the fucking rules. But like, it sounds like they're supposed to battle each other. He made me, he made racism too. But you didn't play, and I'm like, well, I didn't want to. I don't need to go to your heaven. I don't need to go to your hell. Nope, you have to, one or the other. That is the only thing that scares me, because that would be forever. This life, whenever it sucks, I've always said, one of my policies is I don't hate anybody, because that's letting somebody live rent free in your head. Letting somebody I hate live free in my head, so I don't bother. He made this game, and like, it's like, a lot of people say the culture has come to, let everybody, you give out participation ribbons for everyone just for showing up. No winners and losers. It doesn't train people to achieve, to excel. If like the guy that came in, I'm not competitive or sports. I like basketball. That's all highlight reel. The other ones are kind of slow, but I was one time I got clean. I had nothing to do, and when I was young, and the Bulls and the Michael Jordan dynasty was going, so I started watching basketball, and to my surprise, I became a basketball fan. But anyway, I'm not like that, but there's something to be said for that as far as excelling, rewarding. But why fight to get first place if the guy who got last place didn't do anything? He's going to get essentially the same thing. You have to pose with him and all the other ones, the ones in between, for a picture in the paper or get a ribbon or whatever. But it's like there's something to be said. I don't advocate, but second place is like, some kid, you were second place. Oh, good son. That means you were the first loser. You only lost to one person and beat all the rest, but you were the first, the number one loser. But to in that way, if there was a God and he's going to make you play, no, you have to. You didn't play this and you can't go to heaven, so you have to go to hell. And I'd have to go to hell when I'm like, I don't know that. What are we going to do forever in heaven? Forever? I mean, it's supposed to be so great. You sit there with, I write a lot of songs about that lyrics, like stuff like, where do you go after you die? To some giant Disneyland up in the sky where everything's clean and perfect and delicious, and all day long you sit on God's lap and make wishes. Here's a coffin, here's a hole, where's your body, where's your soul? And like, I drew a picture of God today, but no one believed me. I said, just wait and see. Stuff like that. But I think about that a lot. But I mean, what if, just imagine that. What if you showed up and there was one and he was, whatever, where he had a million eyes, or he was a guy to, the bathrobe with the beard like Santa Claus or whatever the hell, and he was like, you didn't play, you have to now repent, you go here, and it's like, okay, but what really is going to happen in heaven forever? Many mansions, blah blah blah. I've read all about that. Usually Christians, I've read more of the Bible than they have, apparently, it seems like. I mean, the only one that is read, was a pastor that I used to rent a room from. He actually did, but I'm just, if he wouldn't let you, that would scare me, that I had to pick one or the other, because, like, they say heaven would be boring and hell's a lot more interesting and all your friends will be there and shit. Well, it's like, if you didn't want to go to hell and you didn't want to go to heaven either, nobody's going to make you. That would be, that's the only thing that would scare me, and it's kind of weird because, but I also understand, better to reign in hell than to serve in heaven, kind of thing. I mean, I'm particularly prideful. If there was a God, I would like to hang out with the cat, even if I didn't want to do the thing. Yeah. All right, I just want a permanent end, to be over. I was in a coma once, and it was all dark, but it was calm and peaceful. It seemed like it was okay. You know, nothing was happening. I barely had any memory, you know. But I remember being conscious, you know, a little bit, but it was like dark. I couldn't see anything or feel anything or hear anything, but it was calm, peaceful, and tranquil. But I'm thinking, you know, okay, could I just, you know, have it all end and at that part? But first, can I ask you 10,000 questions? You know, I gotta some complaints for you, God. You gotta fucking explain some shit.
Ivan, what would you say is the most important thing you've learned in your life?
Most important thing I've learned in my life. Well, again, no one thing. Things rely on themselves. You know, there's a lot. When my grandma told me that, and I was like in my 20s, it hit me hard about why pick a favorite, because you have no one thing is important without the other things. For example, people walk around all the time saying they need shit, right? I mean, do you need anything? What do you need?
Oxygen.
What do you need oxygen for? Tell me.
To breathe, to live.
Okay, but you can't prove to me, why do you need to live?
That's true.
See, people walk around need. There's only need if there is a condition to be met or some caveat with it. You need, you know, ice cream if you're having a birthday party and you have cake and the kids have, you know, you need to breathe if you need to live. Yes, in order to live, you need cheese, you know, to put between two pieces of bread to make a cheese sandwich. Yes, for a condition to be met, but there's no such thing as need, really. You want it, and you want it for, you know, a reason. Maybe it's a good reason, but like I said, without conditions, because no one could, you know, prove to me that that anyone or anything needs to live or needs to. Who says? Why does it need to? And so there's really no such thing as that. But we're all self-absorbed and, you know, self-important, and molecules aware of themselves, and we dominate the planet and blah blah blah. You know, but. So, you know, I mean, stacked up. So anything, whatever I did learn important, I'll try to say something. But it, you know, without all the other shit, it's not. But I'd say some of the most important things that I've learned. I don't know what is, but I know I got a couple of mantras or like, you know, I don't know if they're ethics or codes or whatever to live by. But I'll just give you a rundown of the ones I can think of right now and say these are the things that I try to always adhere to, and so they're, I guess, important to me. One is, it's funny because it's from a fictitious source, but a man's got to know his limitations. You know that quote? Mm-hmm. Who's it from?
I don't know.
Dirty Harry. Fictitious, but it's true, and that's I don't care. It's you know, you consider the source. I don't know who it is, but it's self-evident and it stands. You know, and that's a good thing. You know, you got to know your limitations. What your strength is, what you wouldn't be good for, you know. Like, I'm a musician, I'm you know, a good musician, if modesty permits. You know, the devil went down to Georgia or to California. Done told you once, you son of a bitch, I'm the best there's ever been. No, but I'm saying, yeah, I'm good, but no matter how good a musician, nobody wants to hire me to play horn in their band because I don't do that. It wouldn't be good. That's a limitation, you know. That's not what I do. I play a different instrument. But so that's one. Keith Richards, The Cost of an Education. You know, no point crying over spilled milk or whatever. Whatever happens to you, you get fucked over or something like that. You can make something out of it. You just realize that's the cost of an education, was whatever happened to you. And try not to be that, whatever it is again, that foolish or that unsuspecting, you know, whatever led you to that, trying to repeat it. But that was the cost of the education, you know. And what else? I think doing to others is fine. Me, I don't, you know, I'm a weird person. I've certainly been in seedy, you know, when you're around drug addicts and junkies, and I'm not just that. I've been around all kinds of people that worked, you know, for the courts and shit like that. But I don't steal. You know, people do, and if I was gonna, I think I'd do it for the man or something. But my friends, I always tell them, it's like, and I'm always vindicated. Like, you know, you get suspected because you're there, and you know they have something missing. And I'm like, that's fine. Don't believe me. You know what I mean? But you'll find out for yourself. Whenever you find out, you know, you find that thing or you find out who took it, it won't be me, and it never is. You know, I'm always vindicated like that. I don't take anything because with my friends, I always figure that, and even people, you're cool. If I need something, I'll just ask you. The worst you could say is no. But, I'll try to tell you, hey man, I need this because I don't have it, and it's required, again, like I said, no need, but it's required for this, I can't do this without this, and can I get that? And, more often than not, friends are cool, and they'll give me what they can. I don't try not to ask a lot or whatever, but you know what I mean? Like, thanks for coming to pick me up, you didn't even have to do that. But if you didn't, I would have walked here or whatever, you know what I mean? So it's, that's I don't do that, but I'm pretty honest, blunt, actually, to the thing. But let's see, what else is important? I think, there, but by the grace or whatever could go you. You know what I mean? Like, don't judge books by their covers. You don't know, who you're talking to or what you're. You know what I mean? Archimedes gets killed in the dust by some Roman soldier because he's drawing math in the dirt. The guy that the Eureka guy in the tub that learned about displaced water and made the screw, made irrigation and aqueducts, and made water that you could raise it from one place to another, not just in a waterfall. That guy, when he was old, was doing equations in sand. And a soldier comes up and is like, "Hey, old man, move it, respect my authority." And he's like, "Wait till I'm done with this." Da, 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 da. And he fucking slammed him down and rubbed out what he wrote. The fuck he's talking about? He's just some old beggar or something, And Diogenes, another great. He lived with dogs and was naked and took a shit in public and all this stuff. But he did that on purpose to non-conform, but to show people, what their life and what they were thinking of, and what they thought was so important wasn't. And he said, Diogenes said great things. Alexander the Great came and found him and said, "I heard the great Diogenes is here. I've heard of you. I wanted to meet him." And he went up and walked up to him, like if you're down on the ground. He walked up and he came in the sun, and he says, he was not the king yet, he was a prince, but he says, "I just want to know, it's an honor to meet you. Is there anything that the great Alexander can do for Diogenes?" And Diogenes said, "Yeah, the great Alexander could get out of my light." Step aside, he didn't ask him for nothing, he didn't care, and he laughed. And he said, he laughed to his soldiers, and I think it's apocryphal, but supposedly he said, "If I were not Alexander, and I was someone else besides Alexander, I would wish to be Diogenes." And Diogenes said, "Yes, if I were someone besides Diogenes, I too would wish to be Diogenes." And he laughed again. Didn't kill him, didn't fuck with him. He respected it. Diogenes was the shit. And another one, when they had him, he said, "What should we do with you when you die?" He was getting old. And he said, "Okay, well, could you throw me over the wall, my body out there, just throw it out the side of the Greece in Diogenes of I don't know, Sinope, that was wherever that was. I think it was in the south or something like that, or on the archipelago where Sparta and stuff was. I don't know. Anyway, it was like, he said, "What Sinope?" And he said, what should we do with your body?" He says, "Well, throw me over the wall, my body, and give me a good sturdy stick to fight off the wolves." And they were like, "You'll be dead. How are you going to fight off the wolves?" And he goes, "Oh yeah, aha. So what the hell do I care what happens to my body?" He goes, "Feed them. Use it for something." He was thinking, and so I think you always think, and don't be complacent about thinking. Now, I mean, let me tell you, I've learned what just as valuable what I haven't learned and applied. You gotta get shit done. One of the presidents says shit like, the presidents are full of things like, success is, two part, one small percentage, 5% inspiration, 5% creativity, 5% talent, and fucking 85% perspiration. Like all dedication, all determination, shit like that. And Abraham Lincoln was like, "I care not how many times you've fallen down, I care me how many times you got up." Or maybe that was Nixon, whatever. President's full of shit like that. And it's like, I should be more of a hustler, but I'm always in my head thinking shit like this out. But as far as operating, do I don't know, Mr. T, stay in milk, don't do school, do your vegetables, and eat your homework, whatever.
All right.
Yeah, stuff
That's
like
good.
that. But right on.
All right.
Oh wait, no, I know. What? I'm glad I didn't think of it. My friend Alice told me one of my main mantras is don't sweat the petty things, pet the sweaty things.
Nice.
That's one of the most valuable things that I've ever learned. And I also like Moliere's look at life. He said, "We die only once, and for such a long time."
All right, Ivan. Thank you so much for talking with me.
Right on.
Very interesting.
Oh yeah, you can edit this off, but it's funny. You don't need a parachute to skydive. You know that, right? You only need a parachute to skydive twice.
That's fun.
Right on.